Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sit Down and Lockdown, a show where I talk with some of the local comedians on the circuit today in Cape Town and across South Africa. Tonight, I have Lunga Tshuka with me, but before I bring him on, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that this is a show where we talk with the comedians and you are allowed to donate. This is also something I do for every performer that is on the show, where I accept donations from you guys. Link in the description below, so don't forget at any time to go donate. The donation box is open for 48 hours even after the fact. So even if you're watching this later, you can still donate until the 10th of June at midnight. That's when it closes. So please, if you enjoyed the show and if you like it, please share, please give it a like, please tell people about it, and let's help our fellow comedians. And speaking about our fellow comedians, ladies and gentlemen, this next guy, I'm actually very excited to have him on the show because this guy, I haven't seen him perform in quite a while, so it's going to be a little bit of a catch-up, but I have always enjoyed watching him on stage. He is like one of the most, I would dare say he's the Jim Carrey of South Africa. That's how awesome he is. So ladies and gentlemen, with a thunderous round of applause, even though we're not going to hear it, please welcome Lunga Tshuka.
What's up?
Nothing
What's up,
much,
everyone?
man. Oh, man, it's so good to see you. So good to have you. Let's start with the easy stuff. How are you? How are you doing? How's the lockdown?
I'm good, thanks. First of all, I think you should have warned people when you said the Jim Carrey of South Africa. You need to say I'm the black Jim Carrey of South Africa.
This is very true. This is very
I'm
true.
good, man. Yeah. I'm good, man. I'm just been doing what I need to do to stay sane, trying to stay safe as well. Just doing our part, trying to ignore the challenges and just trying to stay positive, I guess.
Yeah. Have you been writing anything
How are you
new?
doing?
I'm good, man. I'm doing these shows. I'm trying to stay, like you just said, trying to keep busy as much as possible. I enjoy doing these shows, especially with the comedians. It's a chance to, because we haven't been on stage in a while. It's a chance to like connect again and like
Yeah.
talk about comedy. It keeps me sane. We have Storm Legacy who's just joined us. He says, "Good evening, Joe and Lunga. Trust you're well. We're good." And Chico coming in saying, "Sorry, I'm late." You're not late, buddy. We just started. Um, so these are all guys that the Storm and Chico are very big fans of the show, and they've been watching me pretty much all the time. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Tell people about what's happening. So Lunga, I
Yeah.
think you are the Jim Carrey of South Africa, the black Jim Carrey of South Africa. And I say this because, like I said, I've seen you perform before, and you are very good with vocally. You've
Yeah.
got some interesting vocal talents, if I can put it that way. And but you're also very energetic on the stage. Like you perform, man. Like your eyes go and you're like everywhere. I love watching you perform. So tell us, before we get into all that, tell us, why did you start comedy? How did you get into it? And what was it like your first time on stage?
Okay, comedy, to be honest with you, comedy was never ever one of my goals or my dreams. I never saw myself standing on stage doing comedy. However, I used to be a dancer. I started out as a dancer way back in 2000, 2001, around there. Started as a dancer with a dance crew called Hardcore Mentality. We were like a b-boy crew, so we were doing breakdancing. We would do shows around at schools, carnivals, special private shows, and those kind of things. That continued up until 2006. And 2007 is when I stepped on the stage as an MC. And I would just like host shows and random shows. I've always been a funny guy, if I remember back from primary school, because I always loved making my mates laugh. And I was kind of like the clown. So I've always used to be funny with my friends. And when I went to emceeing, um, the transition from being in a dance crew to standing on stage alone, that kind of made me nervous because I'm like, okay, I could hide in the dance crew. I'm not afraid of being on stage, but I had a crew to hide behind. But now I'm standing alone as an MC, and I was like, okay, just stick to the program. If you stick to the program, everything should be fine. Now, what I would do to calm myself or to make myself feel confident on stage is
Mm.
that I would do a joke every now and then.
Okay.
Either I would either I would mock maybe the performance, but not in a bad way that they look bad, just in a way that to get the audience laughing. So I'd maybe mock that, or I'll do a little bit of sound effects, or I will do some dancing, anything to get the audience laughing. And that response to me was like a confirmation that I'm doing a good job. Now, through that, people would come to me after the show and be like, "Hey, man, are you a comedian? You were so funny." And I was like, "No, no, no, I'm not a comedian. I'm just an MC. No, just doing a little bit of between small jokes. It wasn't even like proper material. It was just like trying to be funny, basically." And I think it was also my colleagues at my first job after I matriculated. They would love the way I would tell stories. I would always say it, and they're the ones who told me that I should go into comedy. I should go into comedy, and I was like, "Nah, man." They told me you'll either be a successful comedian or a successful actor, so you should really pursue that. And it came to a point where I heard it too many times from so many different people. And I would say, like, I started writing material out of peer pressure because I was like, get off my back, you know what? And it was this potential that everyone saw in me, which I never really saw in myself because I think I feared more of the transition was more of a fear to me of like, so like I can MC, because I have a program and I can stick to the program, whatever. But if you're doing comedy, there's no program to fall back on. It's just you, and you gotta talk and you gotta make people laugh. And I was like, if I don't succeed in that, I'm gonna freak out. So many people were telling me, dude, the way you tell stories, you should be doing it on stage. And then I wrote material. It took me like 6 months to actually try it. It was only when I was at a braai with a fellow, he's also a comedian now. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, Ambrose, Ambrose there? I was at a braai with Ambrose, and I was telling him, I was like, "Hey man, there's this thing that's bothering me, man. Like all my friends, and I'm getting it from everywhere, and it's like happening too much now. People are telling me that I should go into comedy." And he was like, "Dude, like I've been getting the same thing. People are telling me I should go into comedy and everything." So I was like, "Cool, now that I have a buddy, let's do it together."
Yeah.
And then we spoke, and then we went to Armchair. And we spoke to the late Rustam August. He gave us our date, which was sorry, 2012 on May 16.
Okay.
That's May 16, 2012. It was at a spot called Ragazzi at the time. It was in town. That's when I had my first gig. And I remember I was so nervous. Like I told you, I've been performing on stage since 2000 and 2001, right? So I've been in front of crowds, but now stepping in front of crowds, the comedian felt like I pressed restart on everything that I knew about stage presence and everything. So it was kind of nerve-wracking. I was losing it, and then I remember Carl Weber was the host, also one of the good comedians that I respect and look up to. He was the host all as newcomers, and he told us, the only advice I have for you guys is don't mess up. And I was like, what? That's not good advice. I'm already freaking out. That's the only thing that I'm thinking about, messing up. And I like, don't mess up. I was like, and you know what? And in that time, like it's so overwhelming. You're thinking if you mess up, the whole building's gonna bomb up, or someone's gonna kill you, or something bad is gonna happen to you. And I remember stepping on stage, and I remember doing my first bit and getting in that first laugh, just it just felt so much like, wow, like it's working, And I think I was so excited. At the same time, I was so nervous. I was rushing through most of my material, only something that I understand now about pausing and all of that. But back then I was like trying to get through, and I was actually over time. So, and I've never tested myself, and I've never tested material before, so I never knew how long my material was. And then and then Carl was flashing, the host was flashing me, and I'm not done yet, so I don't know how to end it off nice and sweet besides going to the punchline. And he's getting closer, and he's getting closer to the stage and closer, and it looked like he was gonna grab the mic, And then I just finished off my set, and I was like, wow. I got so much good feedback from friends and people who just came to come and support, and that same night I got another opportunity to do another gig, which was the following night. So that went pretty well for myself, and I would say for Ambrose and a few other peeps. So yeah, that was my first time performing and why I got into comedy.
That's awesome, though. I mean, I also started kind of like in braais with friends, or like you started in that environment, and then eventually, did the live thing. I was never a dancer, though. That I was never a dancer. I was never good at dancing. Let's talk a bit about your dancing, or well, I know Ambrose, you're in who I would love Ambrose if you're watching this. Like, please come onto the show. But I know Ambrose is a break dancer.
Yeah.
He's known for that. But you're known for beatboxing, I believe. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so like when I started the whole dancing in 2001, basically I was introduced to the hip hop culture as a whole. Because of the dances and the events that we would go to, they had MCs, like rappers, MCs, and then they had graffiti artists, they had beatboxers and dancers. So like it used to be so awesome to attend these events. And one of the other thing, and I was drawn to dancing the most, but one of the other elements that stuck out for me was beatboxing because I was so amazed by how these people can imitate beats or just do these crazy sound effects with their mouths. Um, I used to enjoy it, and I remember seeing a clip of one dude. His name is Sky 187 or 189. I don't know. Sorry for
Okay.
getting his name wrong for those hip hop lovers. But the point is, like, he was doing some crazy beatboxing, and I was like, whoa, we were blown away. And and like me and my friends, we would just like watch it over and over and over. And then one day I just tried to imitate it. Not, I didn't mean to get it right. I just
Yeah.
tried to imitate what he did. And then I was like showing my friends, and I was like, I got it right. And then they're like, hey man, but if you can do that, then you can most certainly beatbox. And I was like, nah, it's just the one beat that I got right. It's like, no, bro, you've got the fundamentals down. So just keep trying and practicing. And that's what I did. I used to try and I used to practice, and whatever song I would like, I would try to beatbox a song. And from there I started making sound effects. I picked up certain sound effects, started to learn how to do sound effects of different elements, like maybe a car driving past or a bird or just random things, that I can possibly do. Yeah, and that was like my beatboxing. Well, I've done a few showcases as beatboxer, but I wouldn't call myself a beatboxer. I'd like to say that I can beatbox
Okay, I see. I have a
because I
comment. Sorry,
beatbox package.
I have a comment here in the. I want to address it before it goes away. Brent Rudolph, who's a very good friend of mine, who also does. He's done behind me now, but he's done branding for me. He's a great guy. Blueprint Promotions. Go check him out for those of you watching. Brent Rudolph says that the name you were looking for was Skywalker 187.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
87.
obviously, Brent is a hip hop fan.
Thank you, Brent. Sorry if I offended you, Brent.
But
But
yeah, okay. So you can do beatboxing. Okay, so we're gonna have a bit of fun with you right now. So I have always been as well amazed with beatboxers. Okay, so when I
yeah,
was, let's see, man, like, do you remember the time? Like, I think it was during the '90s, like late '90s, early 2000s. Beatboxing was like a thing. I don't know if that was the same
yeah.
here. Like everybody wanted to do it. Like it was like the
Oh
in
yeah.
thing. And so I'm gonna embarrass myself now, but um, I feel like I have stage fright.
Go for it, man. Go for it. I'm gonna bump my headset. Come on.
um, that's the best I can do.
It's like 3 seconds.
I know I'm shy, which is
Right?
ironic to say. But you're like a master, man. Like give us a bit. Give it. Come on, give us something. Come on.
All right.
Oh.
dance moves, though.
No. No, I try. I like a backup dancer for you or something. So we got Brent Rudolph saying again. He also went under MC Skywalker. That was another name of his.
Yeah.
And then he says he was telling me to carry on with the sound with the beatboxing. And then
Different show. That's a different show.
yeah. And then the Brew. Hey, the Brew. Thank you so much for tuning in, buddy. Brew has some great stuff. If you're a vapor, go check out the Brew's channel. Amazing things that he talks about on his channel. Go check it out. Fuck. Thought I was listening to Mark Lottering. I don't know. Okay, cool. That take that as a compliment.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Martin Blau says amazing. Thank you. Well, to Lunga, obviously.
He's a-
Peter Sawanga has joined us as well. Hell yeah, says hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So we got some familiar faces and people in the chats. Guys, don't be shy to ask us anything. Ask Lunga anything you like about his very interesting career, nonetheless. You brought in beatboxing into your comedy career, right? I mean, you play on that, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So
So,
go
oh
ahead.
no, sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna comment on that. So with the beatboxing, how I fuse it with my comedy is that so my style of comedy is storytelling. So, and I use a couple of elements to help me tell my stories. So sometimes I use physicality, where I use my body a lot, impersonations of characters that I'm mentioning, sound effects, that's from the beatboxing element. And I think I said musicality as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with the beatboxing, I try to not do too much of beatboxing in my material because I don't want to change the focus from the people are listening to jokes now to, oh snap, it's a dope beat, you know. So I always like try to use a little bit of a beat, but mostly focus on sound effects. So with my storytelling, I would do sound effects. For example, I'd be like, it was a bright sunny day, and the cops came out with a chopper. You know, the birds are in the air. Nearly got hit by a car. You know,
Nice.
guns blazing. So yeah. Um. Hey, so sorry, something happened there for a bit.
No, it's all right. You're good.
So yeah, that's what I would do with like sound effects in my material. You know, as far as beatboxing is concerned. So it helps a lot, especially with storytelling. It helps me paint the picture, you know, that I'm trying to tell. And it also gets people excited, you know, and for me it kind of like completes the whole picture and the story, and it adds a lot of value to my jokes.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. These are things that I think when you add those little things, as I often tell comedians starting out, if you can add that little bit of descriptive in the story, sound effects, even facial expressions, acting out something,
Yes.
becoming a character, adds to the punchline. It's all about how you deliver it, of course. Peter Sawanga is asking a question: what is Lunga's favorite type of person to impersonate? That's a good question.
My favorite type of person to impersonate. The type of person would be probably there's like this female voice that I like doing. It's like a colored female chick. The character is she's more like she's all feisty and sarcastic, you know. So I like doing it, but I haven't really brought that character to stage that much. It's usually when I'm fooling around.
When you've
And
been when you've been partying a bit, does it come out?
yeah. When I'm nice and comfortable, you know, it's nice and people speak nicely to me. So like there's like but when I'm doing comedy, you know, I've done impersonations of famous people like DMX, you know. Um I don't really have like a specific type, but You would mostly hear me, especially when I'm emceeing. If I want to switch to a little bit of humor, I would usually use a colored accent because I grew up in Mitchell's Plain and I had like colored friends all my life. So I remember some of the funny characters I used to grow up with, and I would sometimes bring that onto stage like that. So yeah.
You got to do one. You got to do one. Come on, just one.
Baik baru. Akala naman sa amin yung lockdown. Ik nag-changes. As nag-changes pa yung lockdown. As nag-shape. Okay, daar is shape. Amal was geshape. Maar ik zoek nog altijd eentjes.
Oh man, you've got to teach me how to do that. I've been trying to do the colored accent for the longest time. I can't nail it. I can't. I just can't get it. I can't get it right. I can do like away, my bre, but that's.
Like one color guy. It's like one specific color guy. Can't generalize on that one.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the same guy that's outside my house. So basically, okay. So we have here Peter asking another question. Lunga is an actor. Yes, he is. What would his ideal role be currently in his career? So in other words, what would your dream role be right now?
I would like to be an action actor, kicking behinds. I kick your behind, that kind of thing.
Get
Yeah,
down.
yeah. Like, like I don't know, even a superhero movie or something, just action and comedy. That's my favorite. But like, I love to do action where I could do like some fighting sequences, jumping over buildings, fighting bad guys. Being the bad. I mean, being uh, the amazing guy. I'm trying hard to not swear. Yeah.
You can swear, by the way.
Like
It's
being
fine.
the
I'm not.
hero
I'm
and then
not sponsored yet, so free for all.
oh yeah, yeah, you're badass. You mean I want to kick ass, ass.
um, yeah. Well, look. I think I haven't seen you act, but again, I've seen you perform, and again, I feel that when you're on stage, you become someone else. I mean, I don't know if that's your point, but I'm saying like just wow. I'm always impressed with your performance.
Like comment.
Sorry.
When you're done, I'd like to comment on that. What you just
No,
said
go
now.
ahead. Comment on it.
That oh no. I want you to finish your point though.
I forgot it.
It's okay. Um, so here's something interesting. Like you just mentioned now, when I'm on stage, I become someone else, and like I have these two personalities about me. If you see me off stage or you're just chilling or whatever, you would probably get a very quiet Lunga Tshuka, just chilling, very observant, comment here and there, a little bit of funny here, whatever. But when you see me on stage, it's like the complete opposite. It's like an explosion of my personality. Everything that I have inside of me comes out, whether it be crazy dance moves. I'm not shy at all. I'm so confident. I'll do silly things that I'll never even do in my life
Mm.
before, but I'll bring it out on stage and I'll make it work for me. So here's the confusing part. Some people meet me before they see me on stage. And then they see this passive guy, and then they see me on stage, like, whoa, who is that guy, And some people see me on stage first before they meet me in person. So they'll see me on stage and everything. Then when they meet me in person, they're like, so where's all the crazy? Like, you seem so reserved, you seem so chilled. So,
Yeah.
but here's one thing that always gets to me, like, I kind of I always get awkward when it comes to like after performance and you have to do the whole socializing and networking. That part for me always gets a bit awkward because like I feel like the person that's off stage doesn't have the confidence or not, it just doesn't like the whole attention that much. Because the minute I bow and I say thank you, that is my time, I feel like I leave all of that energy on stage. And now meeting people afterwards, they still expect that same guy. So I get overwhelmed. So people will be looking at me and want to talk to me. And then I'd always like leave the room quickly and pretend that I'm on the phone and I just walk out the room because like I'm afraid of that overwhelming energy. So not a lot of people don't know that about me. So yeah,
Well,
I just thought I
that's
would touch on it and bring it to light, seeing that you mentioned that. two different personalities.
Yeah, well, I gotta admit as well, seeing as we're being honest, I'm also like that, but to a certain degree. So, like for example, when I'm in a room with people I don't know, not performing, not necessarily performing,
Yeah.
but like when I'm in a
Mm.
room, and let's say this has happened to me before the lockdown, where a friend of mine invited me to like a braai or whatever, and I didn't know anyone at the braai. I didn't know anyone at the braai, and I become very reserved. But my friend was like,
Yeah.
"Dude, you're like a comedian. Why aren't you like, he didn't expect me to like make people laugh, but he was like,
Yeah.
it's weird. You were very quiet because we were talking on the way home. He's like, you were very quiet at the beginning. Like, obviously after a while I
Yeah.
loosened up, but like, I didn't like perform anything. I just loosened up a bit. But yeah, I'm also like reserved. It's very weird how that happens. I was very reserved, and even I'm sitting there and I'm enjoying myself. I'm not like bored or anything, and I'm like,
True.
usually as a comedian, I'm not scared of people, but for some reason, right now I am.
Yeah. Yeah. All of a sudden, I feel like a normal human being. I feel like a regular guy.
Exactly.
As soon as you get on stage, you're like the super version of yourself,
Exactly. It's like when you
But
when
like,
you're at a
yeah,
gig. Like for me, when I'm at a gig, I don't feel shy. I feel like cool, and obviously there's other comedians around. You talk to each
true.
other and blah blah. Then when the MC brings you on, you're like, boom, I'm here. You perform, you do
Yeah.
your thing, like you said, feel alive. I even feel that parts of me come to the forefront. Again, things I wouldn't normally say in front of people
Yes.
on any other given day. I would just let it out. It's very therapeutic in that regard, and just entertain people. That's the main. That's why we do what we do. And then the moment I get off stage, I'm like, okay, that felt good, and I speak to the comedians or I speak to people. I don't. I think when you mentioned now that you kind of like shy away, I that's where I'm like, okay, let's do this. Take a picture. But
Okay.
at the beginning I was shy. I was more shy. Put it that way. I just want to. There was some. There was some. We got a few people watching. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This is for those of you who just tuned in. This is Lunga Tshuka, fellow comedian in Cape Town. One of, in my opinion, South Africa's top comedians. Someone actually mentioned earlier here. There it is. Storm actually mentioned it, and I wanted to actually say this from this angle where you've got yourself now with the phone. Or
Yeah.
maybe it's not this angle, but maybe I think it is just you look like Chris Rock, like you do. Like you, there's like you. It's almost like I'm talking to a very young Chris Rock.
Can't believe how many times I get that.
Yeah.
Like I even like once I stepped on stage, like before I even could say good evening, everyone, man, and someone was like, "Hey, Chris Rock." I was like, "No, come on, man." Like, look, if Chris Rock was something else, like I don't know, if he was a cycler, I would be like, "Yeah, okay, cool. I look like a dude." But he's a comedian too, man. Come on, give me my space.
Yeah, and then obviously people think now like maybe the expectation now is like very high because
Oh yeah,
yeah. Although
like it,
maybe you should
like it.
maybe you should own that. Like maybe you should own that. Like maybe you should like prank people. If you know where I'm going, practice the impersonation of Chris Rock, and
Yeah.
and like tell the MC. Oh man, I would do it at my shows. Come on, I'll introduce you next time, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Rock. You come out the whole Chris Rock. All you have to do is say fucking and shit the whole time. I guess.
I keep my hands like this.
God damn it, America, come on, tell me, how can you do that thing? Oh, Lord.
Nah, I feel there will be that one person who will be calling that. Nah, it's a fake Chris Rock. He's Chris Rock, yeah.
Oh man! All right, so, the comments are going quite crazy. I saw someone say when we were talking about what what movie you would like to do. Some people asked like, "Oh, would you do a kung fu movie?" Others were saying maybe we need a Rush Hour kind of movie. I think you and I could do an interesting Rush Hour kind of reenactment. Um, that'd be
But
pretty
must be
cool.
shot in Mitchell's plane.
Yes, I like that idea. Cool. So let's see here. Love you, Joe. Peter saying, "Love you, Joe. Love you too, buddy." By the way, Peter Sawang is going to be on my show on Wednesday, so come check that out along with Werner Weber. So come check us out on Wednesday evening. Yeah, so, okay, we're going to do one more question and then we're going to play our game. Peter Sawanga is asking, Lunga, what movies are you into these days?
Ladies, don't judge me. I'm sure your boyfriend are into these kind of movies too, but superhero movies, man, I love it. I love it because
Ooh, wait.
some people,
Wait,
yeah.
you said superhero movies now, and now everyone's going to be thinking DC or Marvel. Come on.
Oh, why do we like that? Okay, I have to go with Marvel. I'm sorry.
Yes, no,
Marvel.
you're right. Absolutely.
Right. And you're wearing a DC top there.
No, well, it's the skateboarding company, not the comic. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I love superhero movies, man, because because I love the whole hero aspect of things. I like to look at myself as a hero, and because I love charity and giving back and just uplifting the less fortunate or the younger man. So I love the whole hero aspect, and they just inspire me with the whole concept and things. And in these movies, if you actually take note, they taking on issues that we are really facing, as people, but they're just turning it into villains and turning it into
yes,
to make it more exciting. But it's not about kiddies things. These are real things
yeah.
that people are facing and going through, and these are real heroes. Yeah, I know they got superpowers and they got some gods from other planets and everything, but if you actually listen to the story behind everything, it's actually beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I agree with you. I think that also the Marvel Studios has, you're right, every story has a hero's journey, so to speak, and something valuable to take from it. I think that's evident in any superhero story, but one thing that I think we can all agree on, well, most of us, for those who like Marvel especially, that what the Russo brothers did with Infinity War and Endgame was a historical moment in movie history, with just being able to combine all these different stories into one big, massive movie was absolutely amazing. And again, the story behind those as well, definitely relatable. We see some people who have bad intentions with a Thanos complex, as I call it now, who want to wipe out the world and stuff like that, all in the name of, self
Balance.
balance and self
Yeah.
preservation.
Uh,
So we got some. We got a lot of comments coming in, but I said we're gonna do. I'll go back to these. I promise, guys. I promise I will
yeah.
come back to these questions. I want to play this game with Lunga because I think it's gonna be very interesting. So as you guys, some of you know, because I see there's some regular viewers here, I like to play this game called the interrogation game. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm gonna explain the game and how it works. So basically, Lunga and I have prepared 3 statements about ourselves. 2 are true, one is false. And we're going to take turns interrogating each other to find out which one is the lie. We both have 2.5 minutes to interrogate each other. You guys are more than welcome to try and help us out in the comments. You can try and guess which one is the lie, or you can ask questions to help each other or to help us interrogate one another. Now, I'll go first. I'll have 2.5 minutes to go first, and I will interrogate Lungo with his statements that he has provided. So I'm going to bring that up right now on the screen so you can see there. And I'm going to read the statements, and then once I'm done reading them, the time will start. Lunga, I will keep you updated with how much time I have left. And then, yeah, you just got to make sure that I don't guess, or we don't guess, which one is the lie. So, reading the first statement. I was once in New York, first time visiting, and I was asked around for comedy spots and bumped into one, and they gave me 5 minutes of stage time because I was from South Africa. I had the time of my life. So basically, you were in New York, you looked for stage time, they gave it to you because you were South African. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I once went skiing at a resort in America and learned how to ski in a week. Interesting. I once shared the stage with Mike Winslow, a sound effects guy from Police Academy, and we were playing around with sound effects backstage. Okay, There we go. And my 2.5 minutes starts now. Okay. Mike Winslow. When was this? What year did you meet him?
Um, it was in 2012 when I started doing comedy. It was at the Nando's Comedy Festival. I wasn't supposed to be in the Joburg Festival, but I got flown up because I didn't win the competition. So, sorry, there was a competition that was held here for open micers to be part of the international lineup for Cape Town and for Joburg and PE. So each region had their own competition so that they could have like the open mic lineup. Guy. I did the competition here. I didn't win here, but I was impressed. The guy who hosted the whole thing was impressed with me, flew me up to Joburg, and then I spent some time with him there. And I did some comedy and I shared the stage with Mike Winslow.
Okay. There's a lot of detail in that. So, okay. Okay, what year were you in New York? I have a
Um,
minute, 25 seconds.
I think it was '09. I think it was '09.
09. Okay, cool. And what was the comedy place? Because you don't mention the name of the comedy place.
I forgot the name of the place.
Okay, how many people were in the audience?
Could it be like 30? Yeah, just about 30. It was a very small spot, a very small spot.
Was there anyone like interesting that was with you on the lineup?
Well, it was a bunch of people that I didn't know. So I think it was like one of those underground spots where people just come to test material.
And were they cool with you? Were the comics cool with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was from South Africa.
All right, 43. You're from South Africa and you look like Chris Rock. 40 seconds left. I once went to a ski resort in America. Okay, where in America? Where's the ski resort?
All right, so it's on a mountain, 4 hours out of Boston. It's called Sugarloaf. That's a skiing resort. They do a lot of skiing there. I did skiing there for like in my first week. I did lessons, and then by the end of the week, I knew how to ski. You know, I'm not saying I was professional or anything, but I knew the skill.
Okay.
I
So
could do the skill.
I've got 12 seconds left. I'm looking at the comments. People are already commenting and saying it's
It's a
actually
lie.
quite divided.
It's a lie.
They're
Oh,
quite
okay.
divided. The brew thinks it's number two. That's the lie. I'm not gonna. I'll just let you know what the comments think, and then I'll make my final decision. Beth says number one is the lie. On to the next question. Brew's adamant like it's number two, and then we have Storm who says number three. So you see, I don't even. So everyone's voted for like one of them to be the lie.
What do you think?
But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with my gut feeling. I think you were in America. I think that you were in America. I do believe that. I do believe that you were with Mike Winslow. I think that was you were very detailed. You were very detailed with
Yeah.
that. It made sense. So I'm gonna go with Lunga. I know. One was the lie.
No. Wait, what was number one?
I was in New York first time. Asked around for a comedy spot. Bumped
Oh,
in. Huh?
yeah, that was a lie. That was a lie.
Yes.
Well, it was. It's part lie because I was in New York. I did ask around for a comedy spot, but when I got there and I asked for stage time, and I'm like, "Hey man, I'm from South Africa. Could you please give me 5 minutes?" The owner was like, "Nope." And I was like, please, man, I'm from South Africa. It's my last time, the first and my last time here tonight. And, I'm not going to get this opportunity again. He's like, well, what you need to do is you need to go onto the website and you need to fill out your details and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but I'm never going to get this opportunity again. I'm all the way from South Africa. He's like, okay, when you come back again, what you need to do is go on the website, fill out the details. I was like, okay.
When you
So,
come
no,
back
I didn't
again.
get on stage. Being from South Africa meant nothing. I was just sitting there and I was watching everything. So yeah, that one is the one that has to be the lie.
Well, Beth Syme says she's a mother of three. So she says he looked both sides with his eyes. He was looking for the story. One is the lie. Yeah, you
Oh,
can't. She's got
those
three
lying
kids.
tactics. Yeah, those lying tactics. Yeah, kids lie all the time. I went to New York.
but New York came to me first. And
Yeah, sorry, Brew. The number two is not the lie. He was adamant that he was like, number two is the lie. Come on. Um, okay, cool. So now it's your turn, and I'm going to read my statements to you, and then once you have them in your head, 100%, or you can write them down, whichever one. I'll wait. But they're very short. It's very easy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then only when you tell me to go, I'll start the 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So, and I'll keep you updated with the countdown. All right. So my first statement is, I had my appendix removed. My appendix was removed. I saw my leg operation. I had an operation on my leg. I saw it live. And then the third statement is, I have 6 screws in my leg and a rod.
Okay.
2.5 minutes begins. Are you ready? Now.
So the first one you said you had your appendix removed, right? And your second statement is that you saw them operating on your leg, right? And the third one, you've got some pins in your leg.
Yeah, 6.
6 pins.
6 like screws. 6 screws in my leg.
Yeah. I would say the appendix thing, that could be possible, you know.
You can ask me questions.
It's far-fetched.
2 minutes, come on.
Yeah. Oh, having the pin in the legs, yeah, that's also not far-fetched. I'm gonna have to go with number 2. I don't think they would keep you awake while you're doing the operation on the leg. That's insane.
So you're not even gonna ask questions?
I don't know. What was it like? Well, okay, tell me the number 2, specifically that one that I'm thinking. What was it like watching your leg being operated on?
It was scary, man. Okay, so basically, I broke my leg in a scooter accident, and I broke my shin in 3 different areas, and I needed to have an operation to put a rod down my leg, and they didn't want to put me completely to sleep because they said the pain would be excruciating if I was completely sedated, and then I just woke up. So they numbed me from the waist down, and I had an X-ray machine to my right, which basically showed the rod going in, and I could see everything. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about the appendix.
The appendix, I was, I think, 12 years old or 13 years old, somewhere there. And I was in Egypt at the time, and I was on the toilet, and I threw up and had a nosebleed at the same time. Basically, what had happened is my appendix had burst, and I needed to get it removed within 24 hours. 40 seconds left.
And, okay. The last one, the pins in the leg. Do those pins hurt? Do you feel it when they get cold?
Actually, I do.
Can you tell the weather?
Yeah, I do.
Can you tell the weather? Okay, then that has to be true. That has to be true. Oh man, you actually gave so much detail now on everything. I feel like they all do, but I think I'm still gonna go. Oh. Now that you explained the whole operation of the leg,
6 seconds.
I think I might go with appendix. I think that's fake.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you know what the comments say before you give your final answer, and then you can change your mind if you want to. So, the comments are saying, they're all lies, Chico. Okay, so Beth was asking, where did the leg operation happen? That happened in South Africa, in Tygerberg Hospital. Wait, how... I know how... Beth is like, wait, I know how Joe plays this game. She says 3 is the lie because he has 4 screws or something and no rod. Something like that. Okay, that's her opinion.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. You guys got to give a number, man. Give a number. They're discussing... Apparently, I lie in this game, and that's what they're debating right now in the comments, which is not...
Come on,
I don't lie. It's all because of this goat thing. It's a long story. I'll explain later. Okay, so what is your final answer?
Like I said, I'm gonna believe because in the second one you did mention the rod and the pins. You did mention the rod going in your legs, and in the third one you said you got pins as well. So I think that sounds relatively true. Well, throwing up and taking a shit at the same time, and then removing your appendix. That one, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with that one. I think you still got your appendix.
Okay. So you think number 3 is the lie?
Yeah. No. Sorry. I think number 1 is the
Oh,
lie.
number 1 is the lie. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it got removed.
Okay.
I think I believe the leg. I believe the leg and the pins. It's number 2 and number 3, but number 1, I think, nah, you chance you get there.
Okay. You would be incorrect, my friend. Number 3 is the lie because I don't have 6 screws. I have 4 screws in my leg. You see what I did there?
Number, I should have played. I was judging the whole statement
know.
and not thinking about the number. Just one small detail. To be honest with you, they all sounded like the truth. I just had to pick one.
Yeah, and that's all true. I had my appendix taken out in Egypt when I was about 12, 13 years. Most painful thing ever. Second to the leg thing. And yes, when they operated on me, I was quite awake. I wanted to sleep. They wouldn't let me. And it was weird, man. Like, imagine you're lying down, right? So picture yourself lying down. And you feel like you're lying down. Okay?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you don't feel this, but you see it. Okay? You don't feel this, but you see it. The broken leg that is broken in 3 different areas, all of a sudden is up, dangling in front of you, and they're moving it. But you don't feel nothing. You don't feel nothing. It's the weirdest sensation ever. Yeah. So, and I heard like the drills going in my bone, and I felt the tugs when they were putting in the rod. People are gonna get freaked out now. Yeah. I wanted to pass out, but yeah, that I couldn't. It was surreal. It was
like
Luckily, there was a blanket in front of me, so I couldn't see everything that was happening below me. But that X-ray machine, because obviously the doctors need to know how far the rod was in my leg. That was weird. That was like, that was crazy. But then again,
that's not an experience that everyone just goes through, you know.
I don't know. Everyone goes through. But yeah, it was quite interesting times. Okay, so I'm not psychic. I don't know what these guys are talking. Hello, everybody. Sorry, crazy day. Lito, thank you so much for joining in right now. You missed one hell of a story. Lucky for you. All right, so I'm just going to try and go back to some of the questions that were asked earlier. I think the Brew brought up something very interesting that we can talk about right now, very quickly. He mentioned earlier, is comedy not caught up in tragedy? What's your opinion on that?
During this period?
Well, I mean,
does he mean like?
I think what he means is sometimes people will say that comedians or comedy comes from a dark place. You know, the whole positive and negative, the tragedy which is made into comedy.
No, man, it's not true. Not all of us are dark and angry and have some unresolved issues and bad childhoods. No, it doesn't. It doesn't only come from a dark place. Some people, I guess, maybe use it as therapy or as a release. You know, some people are dealing with things. You know, but comedy can be a reference from anything. You know, it could be reference from what you saw today. It could be reference from your family. It could be a reference from. You can build comedy from anything. So I wouldn't say it only comes from tragedy. Like. It's not only those who have been through something really, really tough who's actually got jokes or stories to tell, you know. And I know, like, with you could be asking that question because most of the times when comedians are speaking about their lives, they're speaking usually about the pain about their lives. You know, I grew up with one pair of shoes and blah blah blah. It's their pain that they're turning into humor. But like I said, for me, I spoke about growing up. I didn't touch much on the pain and the challenges that I've had, but more so the things that interested me. And when I write today, I try to always inspire people to laugh and look at their lives, you know, as something that could be funny as well. So I don't only speak about the bad things, Sometimes I speak about what's going on in my head,
Mm,
and bring it out in a humorous way or whatever.
mm,
So I wouldn't say all comedy, but you do get some people who get their strength or get their material or their juice from their pain.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's been I think a lot of this perception comes from Shakespeare days because he often did brought tragedy and humor together, and
Yeah.
often talked about the polar opposites of tragedy and humor. So
Yes.
I agree with you and I disagree with you. Okay, from a personal me as a comic, I do have a lot of darkness in
Yeah.
me, and I do use that to channel humor. To a degree, I think what's difficult for me is often people tell me I need to talk more about Egypt and I need to talk more about uh, the bullying that I experienced back in the day, and
Yeah.
so that's a dark place for me. That's tragedy for me. I find it difficult to talk about that and bring the humor out of it, or bring the humor
Yeah.
in it. That's my challenge. So I agree with you and I disagree
Hmm.
with you. So it's like you said, it's like the juice, and I know that if I tap into that, it could be really funny, but at the same time, it's still a very painful thing for me to talk about.
True.
And maybe in the future, I'll find a way to find the funny in it and put a twist on it, or but I think also if I do that, it would help me move on from the darkness, if I can put it
Yes.
that way. But we'll see. Sorry, that went very dark. Um,
Darkness, my friend.
yes, hello, darkness, my old friend. So let's see. We have more questions. Okay, but I'm gonna go to these questions just now. We have Mr. Punisher just joined us. Says hello, hello. What have I missed? So much. You have missed so much. You'll need to
No, we
rewind.
just started. Come, bro. We just started.
You'll need to
We
rewind
spoke
and
about
watch.
cats.
And then we have here are there any forms of comedy that are universally appealing? Interesting question. Are there any forms of comedy that are universally appealing? I don't think that is possible. In my opinion, I don't think that is possible because everyone has a different sense of humor.
Yeah.
I don't know what's your take on that?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm understanding the question correctly, but do they by forms of comedy, do they mean like different styles of comedy, like stand up, or and then you get movie comedy, and then get musical, I don't know.
That's a good point.
I think all forms, all elements of comedy can be can work anywhere. It just as I think it depends on the material
Mm,
or what you bring across. Well, yeah,
okay.
because people in general, we respond to art, you know, and I don't think comedy it would be a foreign thing in a place unless people do not laugh at all
Mm,
in that country or wherever they come from. If laughing is not a thing, then then it might be weird. But I think comedy can survive in any space with any type of person. I mean, if you actually look at it and you visit homes, there's always a funny guy in the house. Like the dad will be funny or the brother is funny,
mm,
and it's different cultures, different people, different walks of life, and you will find humor.
mm. Yep, that's very true. I agree with that. So quickly, I want to ask you this question because it's always fun. Um, you must have. I mean, how long have you been a comedian now? Like a few years. How long?
2012.
Okay, so that's I'm terrible at math. 8 years. Let's
I
so
was also counting now. That's going twice.
8 years you've been a comedian. So you've obviously you mentioned you've traveled the world doing comedy. So you must have an answer and a very interesting answer, I think, to this. What? Tell us the story of your most embarrassing gig. And when I say embarrassing, it can mean any number of things. It can mean that you were asked to do a corporate, and the guy who introduced you just fired the staff. That's a story that's been told. You were at the wrong gig. That's a story that's been told. So something like that. That the most embarrassing gig, the most embarrassing thing you've experienced in your comedy career.
Um, well, I don't think I have a gig that I'm really embarrassed about, but I would bring up my most weirdest gig. Can I bring that
Yeah,
up?
that
My
will
three
work.
most
Yeah.
weirdest gig. Yeah. So this one time, I was still new in comedy, and I was invited to perform at Rocking the Daisies, and it was going to be like a huge experience for me because I was an open mic at the time, and I don't think I was even in my 2 years. I think I was still in my first year of comedy, so I was still like figuring out a lot of things about my style and what works for me, and um, everything went wrong for me that day. Everything, like. Um, the homie who was supposed to take me through to Rocking the Daisies, just before we got to leave, he gets a call from his parents and be like, so your brother doesn't have a ride for his matric ball, you're gonna have to take him. And I was like, no. Then I drive with him and we take his brother for his matric ball, and then we get at the place, and then the cars are lining up because when you get out of your car, you have to take a picture with your partner, so that's a delay. And then I was like, okay, we get on the road, and then we finally get. And then once we get on the road, on the long road, there's that, the roadworks, the stop and go. And I was like, no. And then there was another setback, and like I just felt like everything is going against me. And then eventually we get to like the gate where we enter now for Rocking the Daisies, and then actually before we get to the gate, there's a queue of
Yeah.
cars lining up before they get to the gate. And I was like, and I'm supposed to go on stage, like, and then I'm like watching the time. The show started already, and I'm like watching the
No.
time, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be on stage. And then I'm like, you know what? I tell my friend, it's cool. I'm gonna run from here to where the gate is, and then I'm gonna just find my way there. I ran and I ran and I ran. I ran past all of these cars. I finally get to the gate, and I'm like, please tell me where's the comedy tent. The lady's like, oh, you got your car with you? And I'm like, no, he's all the way at the back there waiting in the line. She's like, okay, so if you're gonna walk, you gotta follow this line. She shows me on the map how far the tent is from where I am.
Yeah.
And now I'm running in the dark, and I'm running in the dark because there's no lights and everything. And I'm running in the dark, and all of a sudden I feel my left foot slip, and
No.
I catch it again. And I take another step, and it slips again, and I fall, and I don't know where I'm falling because I'm running in the dark. And I'm rolling down, and I did like probably like 3 rotations, and then I stopped, or 4 rotations, and I stopped, and I fell into a ditch, like a small little ditch, like a small puddle, which
No.
only covered my butt, ass. It only covered my ass. Strange enough, just my ass. I make my way out of the ditch because I saw the cars driving with lights. I finally get to the gig. The gig is done. And the host was so upset with me. And I was
No.
like, everything was against me that day. I was not meant to perform in that place. And now I'm walking back with a wet butt and everything. And I had to go all the way back home. Yeah.
No.
Another weird gig that I was at, it was somewhere in Belleville. I don't want to name the place. I just want to share my experience.
That's fine.
Um, it was kind of like a racist vibe when I got there because, like, when I got to the door, there was a black security guy, and he was like, he stopped me and he's like, "Hey, man, you don't want to be here tonight?" And I was like, "I have to be here tonight because that's where the gig was at." And then he's like, "Nah, man, you see, like." He's like, I already had to put 3 of our guys out. And I was like, 3 of our guys? I'm like, I don't even know you, bro.
What?
And it didn't click to me at the time. And I'm like, I don't even know you. What you talking about? 3 of our guys? And then I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I want to go in. And then he's like, wait. He calls another dude. And then the guy comes to me and then he's like, what do you want to do there? And I'm like, I'm here for a show. And I show him the posters, everything up. And I like point. He's like, oh, okay, no, it's fine. Come in. And then I was like, okay. And I'm still not getting the vibe,
Yeah.
because I didn't expect that. And then I come in there and I'm seeing like I'm the only person of color there. And then get on stage and there was so much hecklers, so much
No.
hecklers. There was even a guy that there was like he even shouted, Yamaru yo kaktoer. It was so funny. For me, that was weird. I didn't really take offense of anything. It just like the minute I went in there, because I came as a comedian, I was like, okay, this is probably going to be my biggest challenge as a comedian. I've never done any gig like this, so I'm just going to take it as something I got to go through, for experience.
Yeah.
So that was my 2 weirdest gigs ever played. Yeah, I don't mean to upset anyone with that last one. It didn't upset me, guys. It was more of a weird experience than
Yeah.
anything.
Kudos to you for not taking offense to that. It's not one of my gigs, was it? Because I run a
No,
lot
no,
of.
No, actually, to be honest with you, that spot doesn't usually run comedy. We just
Oh,
chose that spot because we were doing gigs around different spots, like just trying out different
oh,
spots. So that was
okay.
like a once off kind of
Okay, yeah,
experience with that spot.
yeah.
So it's not a spot where dark skinned people shouldn't go do comedy. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Uh, yeah, because yeah, oh man, that happens sometimes, unfortunately. But I mean, the best what I've seen is I think some of the audience take a chance because like
Yeah,
I've seen it happen at my gigs too, and we do afterwards speak to the audience member and say, "Come on, like that wasn't cool or whatever."
yeah,
But what's nice, I think, sometimes is hecklers, man. They're more hecklers than there are anything, and they want to be. They just want to heckle for whatever reason. They want the spotlight on them for a bit. So
yeah.
I
It's with
remember
you.
once that happened to Gino, and he handled it like
Yeah,
a champ. And you know how Gino is. Like if you heckle Gino, you better be prepared to
yeah,
to be put in your place. So he put the guy in his place, got the crowd with him, obviously, and then that guy felt like a real dous at the end. So that's also cool how some of the comedians can
yeah.
handle that. And again, kudos to you. And okay, so Lito is asking a question. Lunga, sorry, Lito just joined. Are you from the Western or Northern Cape?
I'm from the Western Cape.
Cool. Um,
West, Coast, West Coast.
yeah, West Coast represent. Sorry, I don't have street cred. I can't do that.
So good.
All right. Well, I see it's pretty much the end of our 1 hour. So what I usually do is I ask my guests to just give a message to the people that are watching. You can tell them anything you want, positive, negative, motivational, whatever it is, and then stay on the line because I'm going to sign off. But just stay on the line, and I'll give you a proper goodbye on Skype after the show's done. Um,
Cool.
so yeah, anything you want to tell the audience?
Get over yourselves, man. I'm joking. No, okay, no. I just want to say, for those of you who tuned in, thank you so much. Truly appreciate it, man, and thank you for supporting Joe and his show, man. Thank you for being lovers of comedy and seeing what we're trying to do with our skills and with our time and our energy and appreciating that. We appreciate you as comedians, and without you guys, stage and what we do is awkward. So we love you and appreciate you, and we always try to make you laugh and make you feel good. And just be positive in this time, man. We all dealing with some challenges. Some of us are facing harder challenges than others. But the best thing that we can do is just try and be positive, be pro positivity versus focusing on the negative. Let's just try and be good.
Yeah.
All right.
All
That's
right.
it.
Lunga, thank you for joining me. Once again, just stay. I'll say bye to you just now. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Lunga Tshuka. Again, as you can tell, very nice guy, down to earth guy. Love chatting to him and love doing a bit of a catch up and getting to know more about Lunga. I'll definitely have him back on the show, and we'll have a lot more fun. He's a man that is very talented, and like I said, he looks like Chris Rock, but his performance is like the Black Jim Carrey. So he's he's an interesting guy. And before we go. I just want to say, Peter Sawanga is Chuka. I know you can hear me. Peter Sawanga is in love with you. He says, "I love you, Lunga." Then Peter wanted a shout out, so shout out to you, Peter, for turning. Shout out to everyone: Lito, Beth, Chico, Storm, the Brew. We had so many people. The Punisher, I believe, is somewhere here. Thank you all so much, Kyle Green. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, the Mr. Punisher. And the list goes on. For everyone that tuned in tonight, thank you all so much. Remember that I do interview comedians at least once a week, where we have just a fun, entertaining chat and get to know the comedians. So there's a lot of interviews I've done in the past. Go check it out. I've had Barry Hilton, Nick Rabinowitz, and a few other guys, Stuart Taylor and other up-and-coming guys. Well, sorry, that came out wrong. Stuart Taylor, and I also interview other comedians, up-and-coming guys who are also really funny. That sounded like I was saying Barry Hilton, Nick Rabinowitz, and those guys were up and coming. which is I did not say that. I did not say that because yeah, I still want to have a comedy career after lockdown. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you tomorrow night. I will be with Ramon Cabernet from The Morning Shot. We're gonna have a nice, interesting conversation. I'm gonna chat to him, get to know him a little bit more. It's gonna be a little bit political, but mainly going to get to know Ramon a little bit more. So do tune into that at 8:30. And Wednesday, I'll have my weekly talk with Vanna Weber and Peter Sawanga, who is in the chats tonight. So once again, thank you guys so much. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, like this video, and I'll see you at the next one. Oh, and don't forget to donate. Link in the description.